Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. It's a short week this week, and I'm excited to be diving into the topic of building resilience. My husband said to me last night, it's almost like the second start back for the kids at school because they had this long weekend and now they're just getting back into the swing of it. We're all getting back into the swing of things. It is a new situation, a new society, really, that we're creating together. And being resilient is important all the time, not just in times of change. But today, me and my guests are going to share some gold, some insights, some tips with you on how you can build resilience or raise your resilience. Because if you're new to the series, this is the Up Your Brave live stream series. And my goal, and hopefully the overall impact of it, is to really raise the state of resilience, health, and happiness, not only here in New Zealand, but really internationally and on a global scale. So let's see what we can do by diving in today. So I'll bring in my guests. Here they come. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Yay. So starting up the top, we've got Lina Montero Soto, a very good friend of mine, and she's from Magico. Hey, Lina.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Magico and Eco Awkward. You can tell us about that later. Then we've got the lovely Susan Somerville, who I met when we both spoke at an event together. And Susan's going to share the benefits of nature and how that can help your resilience. Hey, Susan.
Hi.
And then we've got Alex, who Alex and I met actually on LinkedIn, and he's got great insights around the sales piece for businesses that feel like, how do I sell in this new environment? Well, Alex is going to give us some tips on that today. Hey, Alex.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Awesome. So good to have you guys here. Hey, if you're watching with us live today, please go ahead and comment. Let us know that you're here with us. You can tell us maybe just geographically where you are. And we're gonna dive in, and we're gonna throw some questions your way later as well. All right, Lina, we'll go to you first. I'm gonna read a little bit of background for you on Lina. So Lina and I met at an event that I ran for event planners and speakers. This was probably 2 years ago. And then you've gone on to do so many amazing things. And so I'm going to tell people about that. Lina is a creative strategist and co-founder of Magico brand and PR agency. She spends most of her time activating ideas that connect people to their brands and their community. Lina's passion is helping people feel connected to their community, feeling like they belong, and they can be safe so that they can be at their best selves. With COVID-19, Lina realized much of her business community were struggling to keep it together with the new business reality and the psychological impact. Ooh, I'm excited to hear some of your thoughts. So Lina, I'll hand it over to you if you want to elaborate on that at all, and then take us to your first tip or insight today.
Well, this topic is really important to me because the last 3 years I've been building Magico, our business, our brand, and that has taken on a whole new experience of finding who I am and what I'm about. And we built the business really well for 3 years. We were flying before COVID-19. And then we dropped really hard because, as you know, most marketing stopped. And one of the key insights that I had to find through the roller coaster of events that you go through while you're in lockdown was, and this is quite a big concept, is I had to build my resilience. I had to really understand how I coped with stress. And the insight I found out was stress doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's nothing. It is. You can't hold on to it. You can't touch it. It's not real. And then once I realized, pretty big concept. So what does exist, and this is the journey that I found out through my business community of keeping it together, is how you behave or how you react to a situation. And that is determined by the stories that you tell yourself when you are faced with a situation. And those stories are determined by your past and your history. So if you want to build your brand or you want to build your business, build on yourself by doing a deep dive into the stories that you tell yourself, because that determines how you react to a situation, which either becomes stressful or not stressful at all.
And is the idea to change the story, to change the dialogue?
Interesting. So if you have a fix-it nature, which is get it done, solution, problem, which most of us do.
That's like me. I'm like, get out of my way. Let me sort this out.
Right. I'm going to fix the story. I'm going to work on my stories. I'm going to correct my stories. Well, here's the other insight. It's actually not about trying to fix your story. It's trying to understand the story. And actually, you will find you'll have empathy and kindness towards yourself, because those stories are really, really good stories sometimes. They help you build your resilience and be tough and handle some stuff, but sometimes they're a little bit hard. So you just need to understand those stories and where they come from. And then once you understand those stories, then you understand why you react. So it's not about getting rid of them. It's about accepting who you are and yourself, warts and all. And that's the biggest insight I got through this all, and my journey to building resilience. Still on it.
Yeah, exactly. We're all on the journey, of course. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. Looking forward to hearing more on that for sure. So for those that are watching, reflecting on your story, is that something that you can relate to? So that, you've realized, because your story made you who you are, and it helps you to be where you are. But if it's holding you back, then you don't want to necessarily, you don't want to live in that space. So interesting thoughts. All right, we'll go to you, Susan. I'm going to read a bit of background about Susan. You did this amazing presentation at an event that we both spoke at. I think it was 1.5 years ago. I was so impressed. I was like, I got to interview that lady. So if you guys haven't seen my Impact Entrepreneurs series that I did last year, Susan is one of my guests. And here she is again. Susan Somerville is a speaker and an eco-warrior. She is a previous guest on my series where she shared insights around happiness and nature. As Susan says, nature is medicine. She now works with her best friend, helping others to create self-sufficiency one garden at a time. It's called Urban Gardens, getting people into nature in their own veggie gardens. Very intriguing and a nice pivot, which I'm excited to hear about. Over to you, Susan.
Okay, hi. Lina, thank you. I loved your comments about stories and having compassion for ourselves. So true. For me, it's been a long journey back into the garden, actually, through psychology, through working in HR, people development, and then working as a environmental activist overseas. And it all does come back to the current experience we're having, to realize what's important. And for me, there's so much crazy stuff happening in the world. And to be honest, I did spend far too many hours on Facebook looking at the stories and getting concerned, and then realizing that that's out of my control. I'm an observer of it all, and I'm either impacted, like you say, Lina, or I can retain my own center of gravity. So getting back into the garden is about staying sane, controlling what we can control, and being aware of everything else that's going on, because we're responsible adults, but focusing on bringing it in closer to home, caring for ourselves, caring for nature. Nature is always going to sustain us. And planting, what did I plant at the beginning of lockdown? Leeks and spinach and capsicum, which was too late. But I can track since things went crazy to now. I can see my garden has flourished, and that's quite a good metaphor. So I think a lot of us have flourished in a different way than we expected through this strange time.
And hey, yeah, no, that's one thing I'll mention, if it's okay for me to mention, is when I mentioned the pivot, Susan used to go into office spaces and help them bring the nature indoors. And so I don't know if it's not feng shui, but it's really just looking at how to bring nature in for mental health and happiness and the detoxing and all the benefits. And then, of course, when people couldn't go to their work, she just tweaked what she was doing, but it's still the same goal, is to help people through nature. Yeah.
And it's healthier for me. Totally selfishly, it's much healthier for me to be out in my garden, helping people with their gardens, being outside. It did clarify things.
Yeah, that's amazing. Hey, if you guys didn't see the episode that we did, it was called Supporting Kids Through Challenging Times. It's had over 2,000 views. And we had Celia Hogan on that episode, and she talks about nature and kids. And her goal is to get every child outside 3 hours every day. And so Susan's kind of like, the grown-up version of that, trying to help adults, I think, maybe kids as well, be outside. And obviously, if they've got a garden, there's more reason to get outside and be into the nature without having to go on a big hike. So yeah, really interesting. Thank you so much. All right. So for those of you that are watching, nature, veggie gardens, did you rush out and buy vegetables or did you have it? Oh, I know Lina probably had a garden. I already had a garden going on. How did you respond in terms of bringing nature into your home? All right, let's go to Alex. Okay, Alex. So Alex McNaughton's mission is to address the sales capability gap in New Zealand as a nation. I love this topic so much. We are renowned globally for innovation, but are equally renowned for lacking in sales fundamentals and sales operational capability. This leads companies either to failing early or never reaching their true potential. Can you, as a business owner, if you're watching, can you relate to that? Alex works with ambitious companies, founders, and sales professionals who sell B2B, helping them to build effective, scalable, profitable, and resilient sales operations. He's passionate about accelerating the impact of Kiwi companies, both locally and on the global stage. Yes, welcome, Alex.
Good to be here. And thanks for that introduction. That was great. Yeah, look, this whole situation's been crazy. And I think, like a lot of people, I went into lockdown thinking, oh my goodness, like my business is going to be suffering. Like, what's going to happen? And I guess I was thinking advisory services and coaching, that's going to be the first thing to go, right? And so I got really, really busy and very active. And I think resilience is such an important topic right now, particularly more than ever. And I think one of the, tip one I have, and maybe this was just sort of beaten into me from my previous sales career, is persistence, is like the number one thing for success, I think, in sales or just in business in general. I'll never forget a deal once that I worked on for over 18 months. This one deal just to get it across the line. And sometimes that's what it takes. That's an extreme example, but sometimes you just have to persist. Don't give up if someone doesn't respond to your first email or your first call. Try again, try a couple times. So yeah, and that's basically what I did with my business, and thankfully, through lockdown, things have gone well, and I've helped a lot of other businesses help them to really just adapt their sales approach in the current environment, because what works when the economy's booming doesn't when the economy's not so hot. Yeah.
It's interesting. I was on a training call last week. It was with a group of speakers, the Professional Speakers Association, which I'm in. The guest speaker was talking about LinkedIn. And she said, okay, so how many of you, she was like, right now, it's like not the best time to sell. You just want to be generous and give. Now, listen, she was speaking to speakers, however, who obviously can't really go and talk on stages. So keep that in mind. And she was like, how many of you here, and there's about 20 people on the Zoom, how many of you here are still hustling? And I'm like the only person that puts my hand up. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then it was so funny. I'm like, I'm hustling because that's my nature. Like, I'm a go-getter. I love helping people. And, every business is selling love, money, or health. And when people realize that, they go, oh, okay, it's actually okay to invite people to buy things that are going to help them. But anyway, I said to her, listen, though, but I sell visibility, online visibility, and wellness, which in this environment are super in demand. And so for me, it feels authentic. It feels like I'm aligned with the times, right? I feel like I'm helping people and I'm serving them. Like when lockdown hit, I was telling Lina the other day, I said, I felt like this is my time. Oh my God, I was born for this because these are the things I have. Whereas other businesses, I imagine, were more like, oh gosh, we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to be salesy. What's your reflection on that, Alex, in terms of the Kiwi mentality, the tall poppy thing? I don't want to be pushy. Do you feel like some people lapsed into that more or what?
I saw two things. I saw some businesses absolutely feel like they couldn't sell right now because they felt that it was wrong. And then I did see the opposite, which is probably the camp I fell in, which is people just getting really busy. Now, that doesn't mean you're not empathetic. You still have to do it the right way and change your approach, because obviously some businesses are hurting right now. So if you're selling B2B, you can't be out there talking about growth and all the rest of it. You're probably talking about in the 6 months ago. But my view is, if you genuinely, and I like what you said there, if you feel like you've got something that actually helps people, you should feel obligated to be out there and help as many people as you can. And how you do that is unless you're just going to give everything away for free, you're going to have to sell. So yeah, my view is absolutely don't stop selling. Just be smarter and more empathetic about how you do it.
Nice. Any comments from you ladies on that topic before I move on?
Just on that, Alex, we're in a similar situation. We're in a professional service, so it's creative. But we froze at first. Your first instinct is freezing when the orders stop coming in, essentially. But having the PR aspect, the first thing you do is read the room. And I think that's what everyone was doing, is reading the room. And what we did is, just because our clients weren't saying, here's a brief, we started doing things for free. So we said, here's a concept. We know your business. We know your brands well enough. Here are some things that you could do when you're ready. And we gave them to clients. And it was more because we wanted clients to know that, hey, just because you're not coming and having conversations with us doesn't mean we're not going to talk to you. We understand and we love your brands all year round. It doesn't matter, And
whatever the weather.
Whatever the weather, exactly. And what it did was clients came back to us and went, this is awesome, this is great, or hey, would love this, when things get busier we can pick it up. And it's just nice to say to people, hey, we're here and we're listening and we're ready when you are. And a lot of people, so whether it's selling or not, but sometimes just giving is a form of
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, Lina. And I think the threshold for giving has changed slightly. So I think the threshold, you give away more. And I certainly have been advising people to do the same. And I think the other thing that I've talked to quite a bit on a few other webinars and so on is just change how you talk about what you do. So, and I use my business as an example. Normally I'd be going out there and talking about revenue growth and, client acquisition, whereas now I tend to talk more around reducing your cost of sales, reducing your sales cycle. I do the same thing. Nothing else has changed.
And retaining your staff, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Retaining staff. So, or reducing risk, so you just kind of change how you talk to it because people are caring about slightly different things right now. But absolutely, I think giving away more and showing your existing customers, particularly that extra love, is so crucial because from a selfish point, you don't want to lose customers as well, right? And if you can show them some extra love, then they're more likely to stay with you versus the company they haven't heard from in 12 months.
Exactly. Awesome. Such good insights, you guys. And if you are watching and you're a business owner, I'm hoping you're getting some goodness. Feel free to comment with a question as well. If you've got a specific question for any of our guests today, you can comment with that question and we will come back later. If you're watching the replay, we'll come back and answer that. So I'm going to share one of my tips and insights, which is actually really just piggybacking on something that I heard that I thought was so relevant. So just the concept of resilience, I talk about reflecting on your resilience. So my tip is to reflect on resilience, meaning what is something you've done in the past that, you proved, your own resilience, and really kind of, rather than going back to a story of your life, but this is really with intention, with empowered thoughts, thinking about and reconnecting with an experience or an achievement that you've done in the past where you did have to persevere. Whether it's I've got my certificate on the wall, whether it's getting my master's at, Griffith University, or whether it's, running, like I've said before, doing the Southern Traverse multi-sport race, back in my 20s, whatever it is, think of a time when you were resilient and really hone into what did I use, what skills, what mindset, and try to bring that positive past experience into the present day to propel you forward, because you can definitely get through this. So here's a great example. This is the part that I heard the speaker mention this concept, and I really loved it. He said, hey, everyone, I want you to think of a time in the past, as something that you've done, an achievement that you're really proud of. So just think of that thing in your mind. If you're watching, please go ahead and comment something that you're really, really proud of. And it can't be your kids. It's I'm really proud of my kids. This is about you. Okay. So think of something in your mind, or please go ahead and write it down, that you're really proud of. Okay. And then he says, was it easy? Was it easy? Or were you challenged? Were you pushed? Were you resilient? Right? So do you guys, can one of you give me an example, please? Something that you're proud of that you've done in your life.
Building my business from nothing in 3 years to something that I can be financially very proud of.
Okay. Was it easy, Lina?
No, there was tears, there was joy, there was lots of emotions, and that was just in one day, really, every day.
Okay, so were you challenged? Were you pushed? Were you challenged and pushed?
I was absolutely challenged and pushed. I found things about myself that I really, really liked and I really didn't like.
Okay, so the idea here is for everyone to really think of a time like that. Doesn't matter if it's a business or a personal experience or an achievement that you're really proud of, and then to just connect and go, was it easy? No. And that's probably why you're proud, because you persevered, you got through it, you came out, you rose, whether it was running a marathon or traveling to, 20 different countries, whatever it was that you're proud of. And I thought that's really important, because resilience is not easy, right? Being resilient, but it does lead us to probably some of the highlights in our actual life, some of the things we're most proud of. So anyway, food for thought. So my tip is really reflecting on your resilience. All right, let's go to round 2. We're going to go to tip number 2 for you, Lina.
Well, it's mine an observation. Resilient people have 2 things. They know themselves well, and they like everything about themselves, warts and all. Okay? So really, really accepting everything, because sometimes the things you don't like about yourself are actually the reasons why you're so successful in what you do. The other thing is they have really, really strong communities. So those are my tips. Build communities that you can really lean on, and go on the journey to like yourself, warts and all.
Nice. And is that a journey you've been on yourself?
Absolutely. I've really, really building communities is where a lot of my drive has happened. I'll do something, I'll push myself through it for the team, for the family, for the team I work with, or I feel an obligation to. But I've never really gone the 100% of loving every part of myself, warts and all. So I'm on that bit.
Yeah, nice. That is a really good tip, because you're right. Part of resilience is loving who you are and stop, so that you don't judge everything that you're doing, so you can get on and do what you're born to do, I think. All right, let's go to you, Susan. What is your second tip or insight?
Okay, well, yes, mine is grow compost. And to be honest, I can relate it to what you were saying, Lina, because in a compost, you've got, what you're doing is you're taking something that was rubbish, something that was waste, that was going to be worthless, and transforming it into black gold. You're turning the warts into something that is really useful and powerful and is going to give back to you. And also, when you're a gardener, you're never doing it by yourself. It's always a community. It's a community of microbes. It's a community of beneficial insects. It's a community of all the worms. You realize that the natural world is all about cooperation and the synergy of all those different things coming together, and us working with nature on nature's terms. And I think that's the key thing that you learn when you're working in the natural world. And human beings, all of this applies to human beings as well, because we are bound by the same rules, the same natural rules of the environment that we operate in. So there are patterns to growth in the natural world that apply to the share market. I used to work in finance many, many years ago. And even there, they talk about the Fibonacci series, which is the growth of they do graphs of how growth shares are growing and going up and going down. And if shares are tracking beyond the natural patterns of growth, then they're bound to fall. So everything is bound by the same laws. And when we work within those laws, we will succeed. And, you guys were talking about in these times being more generous and gifting more. And in nature, that's what happens. You give more to nature and you get more back. So yeah, put your rubbish in your compost. That's my
lovely metaphor. Good messaging. Very nice linking it together. We've got someone in the audience making a comment. If you want to go ahead and let us know your name, if you're commenting from a private group, StreamYard respects your privacy. They don't mention your name. But this person says, for me, every moment that we spent is a challenging moment, and when we move to another moment, that itself is our experience, that we can do every moment with ease, and we are here only to experience and not judge or have any expectations as we are passing the moments with experience. Yeah, it is a massive experience that we're going through, but we are going to look back and reflect, and we just have to let nature take its course, I suppose. Alex, I'll go to you for your second tip or insight.
Sure. Well, Lina, I think we're obviously on the same page, because mine was also around community and having a kind of support group. But I've got another one here. And I think resilience, this one's really topical, but resilience is how you handle rejection. Like, we've all been rejected, and I'm talking more in a business sense, but this, I guess, applies to personal as well. Is, next time you're rejected, in a business setting, keep your head up. Firstly, it's normal. Rejection is normal. I think anyone who's built a business or sold anything or anything like that has felt rejection before, so I appreciate it's normal. Ask the person what you could have done or what you could do next time that would change perhaps their response. That would have changed, and maybe they would have gone with you. Ask a colleague or a friend to review how you speak to people. Like, if you send an email and you got a bad response, ask someone to review it, and then just try again tomorrow, taking on that feedback, and just get better. And hopefully you'll see less rejection in the future if you keep doing that, and just rinse and repeat.
That is so good. I think you're right. I think there's gold in the no. Right? But you have to ask for it. So when you get a no, it's like, hey, no worries. You don't want to do my course or my program or come to my retreat or whatever. Hey, I'd love to know, what would have made it a yes or whatever. I think that you're right. There's definitely gold in the no. It's interesting. You also make me think about the people's fear of sales, is often, I think, if you peel back the onion, there's a little veggie tangent for you. If you peel back the onion, it is about fear of rejection, or sometimes pursuit of perfection. So people are like, oh, well, I can't really sell because I don't have my website ready yet, or I can't really do it because everything's not perfect, or I don't know every single thing about every single thing. And it's like, no, you can ready, aim, fire. You don't have to ready, aim all the time. So yeah, good points. Would you ladies like to comment on that before I share my second tip?
I'd love to. Hey, Alex, I now am asked myself, what is the story you're telling yourself when someone...
Can you mute Alex?
So Alex, in terms when I used to get rejection, I used to, like, people who are resilient, they say, oh, don't take it personally, it's not personally. But what I realized, the story that I was telling myself was, this person doesn't like me, or it's, it's about me. But 9 times out of 10, I actually found out later, it wasn't me, it was the circumstances they were in, or situations they were. And over COVID, I had my first rejection because, building my business, everything was yes and everything was going well. And for the first time ever, I got rejection, and I got a fright because it hadn't happened for so long. And the story that I was telling myself was, my business is not going well, therefore I'm not doing a good job. But it was actually COVID. And I took I paused, and I thought, okay, open my heart to the situation, what's going on. So I said, look, I understand. They said they were going to go somewhere else. And I said, look, if it doesn't work out there, we're still here and we can help. And it was really, really hard to say that, because I knew that I was going to lose this business, but I didn't want them to be the last thing that they remembered was me looking or seeming jilted by the rejection. Anyway, they came back. And on Friday, we got confirmed we're going to make a television commercial. But it was all stemmed by that moment of how I dealt with that rejection. And it's just the story that I'm telling myself. Hey, this person it's not that I don't like me, there is something else that's going on. And I want them to know that if they want to come back, they can. But it took a whole lot of guts to do that.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And I think people have this, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, and there's this big fear of rejection. And I think something that really helps with that is, rather than going into a meeting, like a sales meeting, this kind of pressure on yourself, like, I need to close this, I need to get this across the line. It's better just to go in and with an open mind and just say, look, I want to understand this person. I want to learn what's going on in their world. If I can help them, great. And if I can't, that's okay too. And I'll point them to something else that they can get the help. And taking that pressure off yourself, then suddenly the results just come. When you just focus on helping people, the results come.
Because the energy is so different, isn't it?
Yeah, no pressure there.
Nice. Thank you. All right. So that's a really good lead in, Lina, to my tip, which is, I call it, to be resilient and to build resilience, you got to have what I call dust yourself off ability. Okay. So the ability to dust yourself off, because whether you're in business or life in general, relationships, marriage, kids, the school moms, whatever, it's like, you're going to have moments when you feel like, like dagger to the heart or whatever. And you got to have dust yourself off ability. You need to be like, you know what, I'm good. And not just soldier on and put the emotions in a box, not at all. Feel the emotions, acknowledge how you feel, acknowledge how you want to feel. If you hear a story coming up, like, grab the story, stop that story, or change the dialogue. We use the term flip it, like flip the story so that it's a positive into something better, just change the wording. And so having dust yourself off ability, I think, as I say to my kids, of course I care what other people, because we were talking about confidence the other day. I said, Mommy's really confident. Do you think? They're like, yeah, you're really confident. I said, well, here's the thing. I care what other people think, but I care what I think more. And I don't mean that from an ego perspective. I mean it from, like, just being really solid in the foundation of your views and your values. And when you do that, you go, you know what? I care what other people think, but, like, about my whatever plans for my business or my relationship or my whatever. But you know what? I actually really trust myself, and I really, what I care, what I think is more crucial to me. And so I encourage them, and I encourage you, audience, to try to do that a little bit more. So it's part of dusting yourself off is really being clear on how you think and backing yourself, because you know yourself best. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you got to back yourself. I think that's a huge one. You have to back yourself, because no one else will at the end of the day. Like, people will support you and be there for you, but really it's down to you at the end of the day. And no one can do it for you. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go to the third round. So you guys, this is where we get to learn something cool about our guests. I call it What's Cool About You. And if you're watching, you guys can let us know what's cool about you yourself as well, because part of what's cool about you is actually around confidence and therefore around raising resilience. So this is a super cool activity that you can do. I did it around the family dinner table. I've done it with my clients, and it's really great because it helps you to realize, actually, what is cool about me? What have I done? What have I achieved? What cool talent do I have that actually is pretty cool, that sets me apart from other people? And what that does is it actually boosts your confidence. And as a result, it makes you, more resilient. So Lina, what's cool about you? Where can we, what else is coming up for you, and where can we find you online?
Well, I love building communities, and with the help of yourself, Natalie, a year in September last year, I built Make Eco Easy, and it's for eco-awkward people like myself who really want to do the right thing for the environment, but struggle with life and admin and just getting my shit together. So I wanted to make it easy for people to go, hey man, I'm struggling. Where can I go to do this or find this? And I'm not a tree hugger. I like my eco elegance. So it's a really honest forum for people like myself who are eco awkward. And then over COVID-19, I built keepittogether.co.nz with a business community, which includes a registered psychologist and two organizational coaches that have been helping me lead my business and actually help business leaders transition and help their people transition and lead through COVID-19. So it's all about the different buckets of community that I gravitate towards, and just putting the spotlight on those people that also think the way I do, are trying to do the right thing but have nowhere to go to. So make it go easy and keepittogether.co.nz. That's
nice. Eco awkward and proud of it. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's great. So you,
I'm trying to be like you, but I'm just faking it, and that's where if you can help me, that'd be great.
no, I'm the same. I call myself an eco geek, so yeah, it's all good. All right, let's go to Susan's. What's cool about you? What's coming up? How can we find you online?
Well, ladies, I do have to say that I'm a total tree hugger. I always have dirt under my nails and cracked heels, and so we can talk, don't worry. When you're saying about, what have you done that's made you, reflect on your own resilience, back in the Life Before Children, I did the Trans-Siberian Express. So I went from Beijing to Siberia, right across Russia, and to Moscow, and then St. Petersburg. So that was a biggie. That was being faced with who knows what, and but from the safety of a train. Who
did you do that with?
I did that with my then partner. So we were married, and we did a lot of traveling. We were great traveling together.
And that's a different chapter. But so I was wondering if you were traveling solo. That's what I was wondering. But
yeah, just the two of us were traveling. Yeah. So that was kind of before a lot of tours were going through that way. So it was, you're traveling just with the local Russians and the Mongolians and people with sheep on the train and the whole bit. Anyway, super cool.
Very cool. So how can people find you if they want to get a veggie garden? Like if they're going, oh my gosh, I need Susan to come to my house and just make it happen. How can they find you?
I don't have a good answer for that at the moment. Contacting you at this stage, Nat.
Give us your mobile number. Is that an option?
Yeah, that is totally an option. So do I drop that in somewhere?
Yeah, put it in the comments, and I'll make sure I include it. So you guys, if this is your first show, what I usually do is I'll eventually we'll get the show notes written up. So everything we've mentioned today, all the links, that will go and end up on my website, nataliecutlerwelsh.com/video series, and you can go and watch some of the replays of lots of episodes that we've done before. So yeah, Susan, definitely go ahead and put that in the chat box. I was at a business event a couple years ago, and the woman, this is a sales thing for you, Alex. It was so fascinating. Normally people have like a piece of paper or rush to the back of the room or whatever. She literally wrote her phone number on the whiteboard, and she's like, hey, if you're keen to maybe come to my next workshop, like just text me with your email address and I'll send you some info. Like it was so casual, but it was so easy and so simple. I loved it so much. So there you go, Susan. Just give us your mobile and people can text you. Easy. All right, Alex, what's cool about you?
Oh my goodness, I really struggle with this question because I'm just not cool.
It's your beard.
My fiance's got a TV show, and I sort of guest appear in that. So I don't know if that's particularly cool, but you could see me looking kind of awkward on camera, which is
what's it called?
It's a TV show called Boss Babes, which follows her and a really good friend of ours and their business journey, because both of them have their own business. Awesome. So yeah, and in terms of what's going on with me, look, I'm launching a online digital learning version of the work I've been doing for the last just under 2 years in terms of sales training, to help more business owners and anyone who's selling B2B just really get better at it, because it's thought of as this sort of scary, dirty word, sales, and I'm just trying to break down that barrier and just get more people to appreciate it as a process that can be learned and that you can get better at. And I can only work with so many people in kind of a one-on-one capacity. So that's coming soon. You can find me at salesleaders.tech, or find me on LinkedIn, and I'm always connecting with new people and love connecting with new people and hearing about the cool things that are going on with them.
Yay, awesome. That's how we connected, actually. I'm pretty sure it was LinkedIn, and then I realized that you were in Nick Coyle's group, and we both got interviewed, and that was pretty cool. So yeah, that link, your link you mentioned, is already actually written above in the description, but we'll definitely we'll include that as well in the show notes. Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, my beautiful guest. It's been so amazing to share this time with you.
Thanks so much for having us. It's been awesome.
Thank you. Good to meet you all.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up, and I'll tell people what's coming up on the next episodes? Any final comments from you guys?
I think since we're on a panel and I love building communities, Susan, I would love to do a video interview for maybe on your urban gardens.
Yeah, we can do that. That would be great.
I think that's what I've got to come out of this at the very least.
Ooh, perfect. You know, one of the things I love about this is, you know, all the people that I bring together. I did a photo collage the other day, you guys. I put all my guests up, and there were so many guests because over lockdown I did 2 shows a week. So yeah, so many guests. So there's so many amazing people to connect with, so much synergy. So if you're just watching this show and you haven't seen the others, be sure to check that out. See who you can connect with to help you raise your resilience. So thank you to my guests. I'll just pop you off to the side. Let's see how we go. There we go. They're still here. And I'll tell you guys what's coming up for us. So what's coming up next week, we've got wealth mindset. So we're diving into the topic of mindset, which we've talked about before, but this time it's wealth mindset. So that'll be really interesting. And then after that, we're doing how to grow your business in times of change. I've got shows booked already. I'm booking in for July at the moment, but if you have a specific guest or a specific topic that you want to hear about, definitely get in touch with me. The best place to find me is on Facebook, actually, on my Natalie Cutler Welsh Go-To Girl page. You can also join my free group. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's called Go-To Girl, Amplify Your Impact, Wellness, and Business, because that's what I do. And if you want help with that, you can jump into that free group or get in touch. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, Natalie Cutler Welsh saying, remember to up your brave, say what you want, and make it happen. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.